Alright, so here we are on a carburetor. I finally got the spring in. I just kind of want to show you what that spring looks like. That's it right there. Just that tiny little spring. That's what caused me all the trouble. So finally I found some. And so this other system I tried, it flooded like crazy, the bowl. So we're going to take this pin out and chalk that up to experience. I'm going to put this down in the hole, and I also found out that the orifice for this thing is like super tiny, like 0.56, whereas like this is like or 0.056, where this is like for a 0.11. So I'm guessing at some point they had trouble with it, and this is how they figured out to fix it. Alright, so what we're going to do, I also have the old gasket in here, is we're going to put this back to how it was before I messed with it. Completely before, minus that one spring. And old gasket, old screws, everything, and see if we can't get it to behave. And then if we do, we'll bring it back in, replace the gasket, maybe replace some of the screws and stuff like that that I've bought to kind of freshen this up, and then try it again. The whole goal is just to not spend a lot of time having to rebuild this entire thing, because you want to replace one part. So this is our setup from Mike's with the non-spring, and so I kind of figured out what I did wrong here. I didn't set the bowl float level, and so it's supposed to be 3/8. I don't have one of those nifty little gauges that they make, so I just took feeler gauges and with my calipers kind of measured out 3/8 of an inch worth of stuff. And so you can kind of see I'm nowhere close to being where I need to be. So that's probably why I was having all sorts of flooding issues. Is that I didn't even think about it to set the float. This one doesn't have the spring like mine did, and I should have thought about different technology needs a different setting, but I just was kind of thinking plug and play. So this is like 1/2 inch off where it stands right now. So we're going to go ahead and pull this off. Pull this out. Since I already bought the parts, I want to just use the old set. Very similar, but like I said, I forgot to set the float on them, and so we're just going to use this one. And so the spring on here is down in there, doesn't want to come out, which is a good thing. There it is. Just to show you, this is the little spring that has caused all the trouble. Just that little fella right there. So we're going to put that in like so. And that's kind of how it works. And so we're going to sink that down in there. And we're going to put our float on and make sure it's at least somewhat close to the setting we need, which is 3/8 of an inch off the machine surface. So as you can see, we've already taken the gasket off of here. What we're going to do is we're just going to try to get this thing to work with all the old parts, and then we'll start replacing with the new parts. So there it is. It's a little off. Assuming my stack's right, which it may not be totally right. Well, there ain't much movement. Just a hair, and I doubt I'll be able to get that any more precision than that. So big difference on where we're at. So I'm going to go ahead and put the old gasket back on here and mount it up and see if we can get this thing to start up, and then go from there. If it works, we're going to go ahead and replace the old gasket with a new one, and hopefully not lose that spring again, and then also maybe replace out some screws and all that kind of stuff. Alright, to replace that gasket, I'm going to go ahead and pull this off right here, and this is our old gasket, and I think it went like this. So we're going to kind of put it down like so, and then put this float back on. Like so. There we go. I think that's the way this gasket went before. Yeah. There it goes. It kind of fits down on there. We're going to mount this up and see if we can get her to start up. Here we are back out here. And so we are going to go ahead and put this back in place carefully. And then we're going to try to start it up at some point. I'm going to go ahead and kind of get that down there where it needs to be. Get everything kind of lined up. As a matter of fact, we're going to go ahead and put that on, that connecting rod there on, before we attach this top half, because that's been difficult for me to get that on there a whole lot. So just going to lift it up, give it a little slack. And then there's just so much just like in the way right now. That's the hard part about all of this. And then there's spring, it's all connected, so there's spring tension and all that on it all. Of course, I'm videoing this. If I hadn't videoed this, I would have already had it on. But it seems like anytime I video anything, it takes a bit. Either that or I need like 8 hands. Kind of where we want it, close at least. It's just so tight up in here. Alright, here we go. So hopefully you can kind of see what I'm trying to do here. Just trying to get this retainer up in there on the other side of this rod. And it's just not being cooperative right now. Alright, so let's put that on ahead of time. I'm going to try to rotate this up. Alright, so we kind of got it close. So we're going to go ahead and put this thing on. I forget what it's called. And then kind of work it. There we go. And then get that down in there. Well, we'll just leave that loose for now. Alright, so this is where we're kind of at right now. Just trying to get everything to kind of fit down in there. Now that we've got that deal on the bottom done, and so we're just trying to get this needle lined up here. Because once it gets lined up, it will go down. But it's just not wanting to cooperate right now. And you just can't see it. Alright, so I'm kind of pulling up on the bottom, and so we got that needle down in there. There we go. Whew, that was the job. There we go. And so that's how it kind of fits in, how it's supposed to fit in. And this is dripping gas right on the exhaust, which is fun times always. I've dripped a lot of gas on this exhaust recently. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and put a screw in here to kind of hold this thing in place, so we can get the rest of it kind of held in place. Alright. We're going to put another one in. Alright, so let's go get the battery.